Hello, welcome everyone. It's Nikki Clarke, the Nikki Clarke Show. It's about 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here, and it's Wednesday afternoon. We're about to start with another great episode. We have an interview with the president of UTE North, Marcus Thompson. So just waiting for him to request to be joined, and then we'll start. So I see Nicholas on the line, and welcome to everyone who joined us. Alley Cat 101, Cheeks 3, thank you for joining. So Nicholas, just request, and then we'll start. There we go, get it going. So Nicholas, he wears many hats. He is an incredible advocate for the community. He is a union leader, and he also he was the federal candidate for Don Valley in the last federal election, and I was so fortunate to run with him alongside in Malton, Mississauga, Malton. So I welcome the one and only Marcus Thompson. How you doing, Nicholas?
Thank you. I'm doing fine. Thank you. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. I'm enjoying this beautiful June day. I know that we've been kind of going through a gamut of emotions. Every day there's something new, but I wake up with a spirit of gratitude, and I'm grateful for this day, and I'm grateful for your time on the show. So thank you. All right,
Thank
so
you.
I'm going to continue to give a wave to people joining. Thank you so much. So if people don't know about the Nikki Clarke Show, it's about inviting people from all walks of life to share their heart stories, stories of just how they've overcome certain trials to get to their place in the sun, to get to their triumphs. And I guess Nicholas, you're a very accomplished man, but maybe you could tell us a little bit about what drives you. What is that fuel behind the passion that you have in advocacy work? Can you tell us about your background?
Uh, how long do we have?
We've got about an hour.
Okay. Well, I think for me, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity to share a few words with
Sure.
your audience today. I really admire, all the work that you've been doing in the community and
Thank you.
supporting everything that we do. It's I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean, and growing up, life was exceptionally hard. I come from very humble beginnings. I remember the home that we lived in. It was made from wood. We didn't have running water. Um, we didn't have electricity. Um, we didn't have any of those basic commodities. So life was very challenging, and that's a big part of what shaped my character and my humility today. So I migrated. I came to Canada at just in my teens, and you know, at just at such a young age, Nikki, I always believed in standing up for what is right, for what is equitable. I always remember, like, growing up in high school, um, the principal at my school would have to call my mother in because, if there's any injustice, I would get all the students together and organize them, and we would protest in the school. And the principal, he never liked that.
Mhm.
And so he always had my mother coming in. But
Yeah.
from that very young age, I knew that, you know, I have a voice, and if I see something that is wrong, I wouldn't complain about it. I would take proactive steps um, to address it, to to ensure that it doesn't happen to someone else, or to you know. It's and then transitioning to life here, it's it's been a journey.
It's been a journey. Yeah. Well, I guess we have something in common. I came to Canada at a very young age from Jamaica.
Yeah,
And yeah, there's a lot of adjustments to make. Language being one of them, and also climate and all that good stuff, and then stuff that you're not really prepared for, and that's you know the kind of discrimination that you're not expecting to face when
right.
it comes to the educational system, when it comes to entering into the workplace. Um, so let's talk a little bit about your advocacy work. I know that you've come to a place and you're making your adjustments as a young man, but um, what did you learn in your formative years to make you want to be a champion for other people, to be a voice for the voiceless?
Well, I think, as I was mentioning earlier, my upbringing certainly really helped shape my character. Um, in my early childhood, as I was mentioning, there was a lot of poverty and, um, the circumstances in which my siblings and I grew up. It was very challenging, and to compound that, my father, he um, had addiction for substance abuse and alcohol, and so combining all of those things, it was a very we had a lot of fun growing up and in the natural wildlife and climbing trees and picking fruits and eating off of the land, right? Um, but that really helped shape, you know, I saw what I wanted from a very young age, and I knew I had to speak up about certain things, and
Right.
those are the things that led me to electoral politics, because I know what it's like to not have food. I know what it's like to, you know, to be in constant worry about the next day. Um, and when we left that village, I lived with my grandparents and my grandfather. He was a police inspector. He was a World War II veteran, and he was serving in the police service, and that's where I got my discipline from, and my that really helped me to understand a lot of things and the importance of making up your bed, and those basic things really helped to shape my character. So it is, and then naturally all of those skills transferred to my life here in Canada, right? When you'd see, like when I joined the public service, I I experienced discrimination very quickly, and that's where I got involved in the union. And when I got involved in the union, I didn't see anybody that looked like me, right? I didn't see anyone that looked like me, and I said, well, I have to change that. And I ran against the status quo, and as a young man, I'm going up against a senior, um, experienced labor leader, and it was a very challenging task. But I knew that I had to get in there, Nikki, and I had to, um, if for any challenges that I have in life, my thinking is history is going to record me as trying to do something about this.
Right.
Whether I succeed or not, it's going to record me as trying to fix this. And I won the election, and I went on to be elected to other positions in the Public Service Alliance. And and I've since been using that platform to advocate for equity and ensuring that workers are taken care of. I represent approximately 800 workers in the federal public service, and not just on a small level, but the issues are significant. It's um, you wouldn't believe the issues that people are facing today. And I could only imagine, and that's in the federal public service. What about in the private sector, what people are facing without even the basic needs such as sick leave? paid sick leave.
Mhm.
So it is very frightening. It is very worrisome, and there is a lot of work for us to do to address those issues, especially that we're facing in the province.
Okay, let's talk about that as you do, represent a large group, a large part of the workforce. What are you hearing on the ground? What are the workers facing?
Sorry, I'm not hearing you. I'm not sure why the volume.
I was saying, in terms of COVID-19 and the group of workers that you represent, what are you hearing on the ground? What are people saying? What's the feedback?
Well, workers are very scared. Job security remains a number one issue because a lot of people are teleworking, and they're pretty concerned that there wouldn't be enough work for them to do, and eventually they would be laid off. It's something that we're continuously working with the employer to ensure that all the needs are being met for all the different balancing all the different factors, right? For example, when this um, pandemic just happened and they closed down everything, we rushed to um, administer emergency benefits on behalf of the government, right? Our members were administering those benefits, and some of them had to go and work, and so we had to balance safety with delivering services that Canadians need.
Right.
It was a very challenging task, and we're doing all of this without a contract, right? Our contract expired in 2016, and we have not made any progress with obtaining a contract for our members. So, but when we received the call to duty, we dropped everything. We forgot about all our grievances,
Right.
and we served Canadians. And I'm very
Yes.
proud of the work that our members have done to ensure that people have received their emergency benefit checks, that employers could apply for the emergency wage benefit.
Mm-hmm.
All of these benefits is what our members have administered for the federal government. So I'm really proud of that work. Um, you know, and the ironic thing here is these members who are administering these benefits, they're on contract, on term employment, right? So I always say it's almost as if the stone that the builder rejected has become the cornerstone of the foundation, because now they're considered critical employees. Now they're considered, when everybody else can't work, they have to work. But then you have them employed on term employment, 3 months contract. They can't go to the bank. They can't get a mortgage with that when it says their contract will end in 3 months.
Right.
So it is, these are matters that are engaging our membership. They're continuously worried about that job security and
Mm-hmm.
what'll happen next, right? So we continue to work
So
very hard in ensuring that
you definitely have your work cut out for you, definitely, and I know that there are supports around you, but it can be at the end of the day um, very draining. And
yeah.
I'm going to allude to something that I saw, a post that you said, I'm hurting, um, and I saw some of the images of. I think we lost Nicholas. Okay, let's bring him back. All right. I'll just give a shout out to those who are joining. Thank you, Alabaster Wellness, and Andrea, I see you. Thank you so much. So Nicholas, sorry, I just lost you for a couple of seconds, but what I was going to refer to was on Sunday and what happened, the protests. Nathan Phillips Square, I saw the pictures, I saw the images, I read your feedback. Can you bring us to what happened on Sunday and even before, just just tell me
Sure.
how you're feeling.
There-
I think it's important to maybe share what's unpack what you're kind of processing, and maybe we can have a common ground. Can you share with
Sure.
us?
We have been combating anti-Black racism and systemic racism and discrimination for a very long time in the labor movement. And, recent events in the U.S. simply amplified what we have already been experiencing. So I've been hearing people talking about it's a U.S. problem. No, it's a Canada problem. It's a world
Absolutely.
problem, right? So it is, this recent events have really um, it's shone a bright light on what's happening here in Canada. And of course, when we received the call, we answered it, and we showed up, and we continue to show up, and allies continue to show up and mobilize and stand up for what is right. A huge shift is happening across the globe, and we led a demonstration in Toronto, one of many, and many organizers and many people coming together. And I'm so proud of our allies who are really standing up and leading, these demonstrations and speaking up and listening a lot. It's very important to listen as an ally. You may not have the experience, the lived experience, but it is your job to listen and then figure out what steps that you need to take to fix this issue. So, we led the protest to in front of the U.S. consulate on University Avenue, and I led a 8 minutes and 46 seconds kneel, and the police came and they knelt with us, and it was a very long time, Nikki. 8 minutes and 46 seconds is a very long time. At times I would look at my watch and I would say, well, what's, is this done yet? And we did that symbolic exercise to show how long that is. How long that is, right? It's a very long time. So, Police Inspector Matt Moyer came and he knelt with us, and he didn't deem us to be protesters. He said that he found that we were ambassadors of peace. And that's interesting languaging from the police service, right? So a lot of people have reached out to me and they said, well, Nicholas, the police kneeling with you, and,
What's that about? Yeah.
you should not be kneeling with the police. Stop this nonsense right now, and I've, it is very interesting because the first step to reconciliation in anything is acknowledgement. And it is a very symbolic step. It's just a small step that's required to move forward, right? And I always use this example because it is very important, because if I am an alcoholic, I cannot receive treatment, effective treatment, until acknowledging that I have a problem, right? And in this same sense, we can't move forward without those in the system that have oppressed us, without an acknowledgement from them. And to me, that needs signals that they understand that their system is oppressive. They understand that they are part of the problem, and that they are willing to change. They are willing to submit that there is a problem and that we want to stand on the right side of this.
Okay.
So, it was a very well attended protest, and we'll continue mobilizing and really standing up for what's happening. And this is not an isolated issue, because and neither is it only within the police service. It is systemic. It is an entire system carefully designed to oppress Black people and visible minority groups, indigenous communities. It is designed that way to carry out a specific function. So I've heard many people say the system is broken. And Nikki, I want to say this today. The system is not broken. It is functioning exactly the way that it was designed to function. So what we need to do is to create a new system designed to serve everyone, designed to be fair, designed to be equitable. My people were still facing the effects of slavery, and then we're over policed, and then we're unable to get into that economic stream of high paying jobs. So we're deduced to low housing income, and
Yes.
we're stuck in that cycle. So it is a structure that needs to be completely dismantled, and we need to be consulted and to be a stakeholder in that conversation on creating a new just and equitable system.
Excellent. And that's a really good point, Nicholas, is that consultation must happen. It's not about this is what should happen for you. And that has been the problem for so long now, that things have taken place without the consultation of many communities and their voices being heard. So I agree with you completely that this is the time now where the momentum is high, that we can get a collective group of voices. Because racism, anti-Black racism, hurts not only Blacks, but it hurts everybody. And we could see the outrage and the sorrow from everyone pouring out over the last few days. So we need to have a systematic measures put in place to dismantle systemic racism, as you very eloquently observed. It is designed to oppress. So we've got our work to do, and definitely we need to invite allyship. Extremely important, because we can't do this alone. We need everyone to be a part of this rebuilding. But I have to say that when I saw the video and I heard in the last few minutes of George's life, and he was calling for his mother. And I'm a mother of 3 adults. Every single mother, I think, on the planet was summoned.
Right.
They felt his cry, you know. So we have here something very pivotal that cannot be ignored. We have to keep moving forward. The voices now need to be heard, no longer silenced, no longer ignored. And definitely, I'm right behind you. So I wanted to ask you about kneeling. Now, you gave us some really good reflections of what happened with the police kneeling alongside with you, which was a very wonderful symbolic gesture. But what does kneeling actually signify when someone kneels? And our Colin, I'm sorry, can't pronounce his last name, but the outstanding athlete who was dismissed from the NFL for kneeling for our brothers and sisters who have perished at the hand of brutality. So what does that mean?
Right. It is a very symbolic and powerful gesture to highlight the issue of anti-Black racism, right? So when he knelt, and at that point in time, a lot of people didn't support him. And now we're seeing the commissioners of the NFL walking back and saying, we made a big mistake. And that may not
now
have
hire
happened.
him back.
Yeah, and they need to back that up with some action, right? So that may not have happened if we didn't see that video, if that video did not catapult the world into action. And unfortunately, sometimes, with everything, that's what it needs to happen to for action. We may not have had the world, from every walks of life. This incident really galvanized the entire system and forced everyone into action. So the kneeling is really a symbolic gesture, and to have the police kneel as well, it's saying that they're coming into realization and acceptance and recognition of the systemic issues. So, the police it is a really delicate situation, right? I don't want to bash all police officers. I think there are outstanding police officers that do a really good job, that put their lives on the line. We commend and we support those officers who, go above and beyond to serve our communities and don't over-police us and gives us a fair chance and don't judge us by the color of our skin.
Respectful, yes.
And there are those officers that do that.
Sure, absolutely.
And unfortunately, situations like this paints the entire force, and that's globally, as and it's the equivalent of painting all Black people as lazy or as right because of a few who choose to not take life seriously and advance themselves. And so there is a lot of work to do, Nikki, but I really think that the kneeling gesture is a sign of solidarity, that really a big acknowledgement on the police's part that, we will kneel with you. This was wrong, and an injustice was committed, and we'll submit. And not only submit, but we'll stand with you that this is wrong, and we condemn officers who are doing this.
Absolutely. So what are the next steps, Nicholas?
Well,
where do we go from here?
Well, the protesting is one thing, right? And that's all well and good. But the protesting is really to bring action, is really to bring attention to what we're facing, is to show discontent, is to let the authorities and everyone know that, that there is a significant problem that exists here. We're dissatisfied about what's happening over there, but we're also dissatisfied about what's happening here. We continue to be oppressed in every sector, in the private sector, in the public sector. That nasty system of racism is everywhere. So we're going to continue making our voices heard through peaceful protests, and we are going to be shifting the conversation to practical steps that needs to be taken for us to change, to create a new system, because we are never going back to that system that we had before. We're supported globally, and we will use this momentum to transition into a conversation, right? All across the city, there's still signs of our colonial racist past, right? These structures and these signs that remind people about this, that needs to be addressed. We still have all these structures in place that perpetuate, that support racism. We need to dismantle these structures, right? So we need to start having conversations about this. Why aren't you hiring Black people at a significant level in the public service? Why aren't they, or in private sector? Why aren't they reaching up to the CEO positions or the senior managers? That we need to transition, and that's our plans are to transition the conversation to that roundtable discussion on how are we going to fix this, because police brutality and disproportionate use of force against Black people and racialized people, indigenous people, that's just one part of the problem. Because if we fix all the other problems, you wouldn't over-police us. We wouldn't be in low-income housing. We wouldn't be in, so it is a direct correlation. It is intersectional. So we need to start having those conversations about changing the entire system. So we are calling on the federal government to take steps to engage our community in consultation on addressing the issues that we face in policing, economics, a wide range of solutions. I was talking to a good friend of mine, and she's a parole officer, and she says, well, Nicholas, the entire system is stacked against that Black youth who's living in poverty, whose mom and dad are working 2 and 3 jobs to support them. So they're unsupervised at home. Yeah. And then they get caught up in the neighborhood stuff, right? And for the smallest thing, they're locked away. And the judge is white, the prosecutor is white, the duty counsel is white. Nobody to see or add perspective of lived experience to these young Black children. So they're caught in a system, in a long system, a long line of a terrible cycle of, of systemic issues. And it is really, really, really disheartening. And, when a judge looks at a young Black man, they're seeing trouble. So there's no, or if your parents are, if you're white and your parents are wealthy enough, there's a way to pay the best lawyer and make the best argument, and you don't see any jail time, right? So the system is, the system needs to change. We are prepared to do all that is necessary to ensure that anti-Black racism and racism in general is eradicated. It's completely eliminated. And my children and your children have a chance of walking down the street and sees a police car and not worry about what are they going to ask us. Or, I apply for a job and I have a fair chance that I'll be judged based on what I bring to the table, not how I look. So that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for a Canada where that is eliminated, where we all have the chance to succeed. We don't want any handouts. We're quite capable of educating ourselves and working hard, and we certainly bring a lot to the table.
Absolutely, Nicholas, and I think as I was the president for the Ontario Black History Society, I served a term, and I was there from 2015 to 2017, and I stepped down to run politically, provincial, and I also did as you know, the federal campaign. But the whole premise of the Ontario Black History Society is to preserve, promote, and protect Black history. And as volunteers, we would go out into the community and we would spread awareness of Black history in Canada, and also really break down a lot of barriers just by education. You would be amazed how many people are not aware that Blacks have had a presence in Canada for 400 years. And a lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot, but there are a number of people who view Blacks as kind of like a touristic perspective, like they just arrived. And that's not the truth. Blacks have built up Canada just like any other community. So education is a big piece. And I know growing up with, Jamaican parents, they taught me who I was at a very early age, because I grew up in a neighborhood that didn't reflect a lot of diversity. I was the only Black girl in my school for many years. And with that, I had to work harder. I was under a lot of scrutiny. And I was also, I was bullied because of, being black, and also being English, in
Mm,
certain respects in a French neighborhood. So what my parents had to do was they had to pour knowledge into me. And we know that knowledge is power. So once you have an education, once you know better, then you have to do better,
right.
right? So I feel that that is my calling now, is to teach, is to give opportunities for people to ask without intimidation. If they don't know, that's okay. Let me tell you what the real deal is. And then we can get to that common place. It's going to take some time. But I am willing and I'm so available for those conversations to happen. What do you
Right.
think about that, Nicholas?
No, I think education is very important, and the knowledge. A lot of our children does not know our history, and so us as a people, we have a lot of work to do as well. Because as I mentioned, you know, um, we're not a very tight knit community, and I attribute that to generational, to repercussions of the slavery system,
Yeah.
right?
Intergenerational trauma,
Correct. Correct.
racial trauma.
So
Yeah.
we still don't know how to do that, and come together and create wealth together, and um, you know, and be, you know, we're just taught to be consumers. So we have a lot of work in our community to do, to mentor, um, and to educate one another about our struggles and our history, and and that's so important because it's not something that we teach in our community. So it is. I would really like to see that happening, and um, you know, and I think it is really trauma and effects of trauma, because as a if you're growing up and life is already hard, there's so much. How could you bring up anybody and support anybody or join, or you're just trying to make it, you're just trying to survive, you're just trying to pay your bills, you're just trying to, how could you do anything or give anything for anybody when you're already at the edge, just trying to,
I
and when you
agree.
do make it, you're trying to stay there, and you don't want anybody to pull you down, or you don't want to, you know. So it is very deeply ingrained in, and that is from slavery, right? That is from, and that's how the slave masters had us, kept us,
Yeah.
try to pit us against each other, try to, have a snitch system. If you told on this one, you get rewarded with this. And,
Right. Right.
it was a vicious system that,
All lies. All
yeah,
lies. Right.
generationally. So it has come down, and even though there's no slavery, you know, people may not know why they're doing certain things, but it's because their parents did it. And the
Yes.
parents before that did it. No
Yes.
explanation. So it is very, symbolic. It is ingrained. So you might see a child doing something, or, you know, but it is because it's in their DNA, their parents and parents and parents. You have to, and that's where you were saying the education part of it. We have to understand our behavior, and really
Yeah.
understand our history. So
Absolutely.
I
I mean,
really agree.
I agree with you, Nicholas. And what I learned as an educator is that once you are firmly rooted with knowledge, once you know who you are, and when
Right.
those storms come in life, they can't knock you over. They can bend you a little bit, but if your roots are deep, you come back up. You come back up, right? So these are the lessons that I teach youth, from all communities. You need to know who you are. Stand in your power, truth to power. And I believe that for people in the Black community who are suffering with this intergenerational racial trauma, you can take a stand. You can break the cycle.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
can break the cycle enough, and say, okay, it stops here with me. I know now what to do, and I'm going to break the cycle. It's not going to go on with my children and their children. So it's a willingness, it's a desire to make change. And that only comes when you know when you have a problem, right? Yeah,
Right.
that only comes when you know that something's wrong. So now we have this gaping sore. We've
Hmm.
seen it, we knew about it, but now everybody's talking about it.
Right.
And this is where we're like, okay, we got to deal with it now. This can't spread anymore. This sore is really, spreading widely. So, Nicholas, I thank you for, just the courage you have, the tenacity you have, and just the strength of character. I want you to know that you are supported, that you are loved, and that you are valued, and continue to do what you do. And you're a very positive man. Do that in a positive way. And how can people connect with you to encourage you or to even be mentored by people like you or people that you can connect with them in the community?
Sure. I just want to highlight, really the importance of mentorship because a lot of the times, especially in our community, you get up there or you have some type of success and you're not showing anyone else how to get there too. So I really believe, and that's something that I have been doing, is mentoring people and ensuring that, you
Very
know,
important.
it's really, really, really important. And if we all do that, we'll all, move up together. And that's where it creates a generational effect because then there's always somebody bringing somebody up, and then it goes down generationally. So that is very important. And I can be reached at my handles are at Meet Nicholas. So very simple. So Meet Nicholas. So no numbers or anything like that. So just at Meet Nicholas on Instagram, Twitter, on Facebook. So you could connect with me on any of those channels. My website is nicholastompson.online. So and they're all on my social media. I'm very accessible. So you could reach out with any of your questions, or if you want to have a chat, or if you want to show up to our next demonstration. So,
When is that?
it's still in the works yet. We haven't figured it out yet, but we want to be very effective in, how we're carrying out these demonstrations. So, um, just continue to stay plugged in, and I just want to thank everyone for supporting and standing up against anti-black racism. Our allies out there, you have a big job to do to continue to advocate and to say this is wrong and enough is enough, and
Yes,
to be part of that discussion on creating a new system. We don't want to fix
absolutely.
the broken or the system that was designed to do what it was designed to do, right? So continue to partner with us and share ideas and support us and believe in us, and we'll continue showing up every day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your pearls of wisdom. I just want to give a shout out to those who have joined. Thank you so much. Pierce Robinson. Pierce says, excellent show, very insightful and interesting discussions. Thanks, Nikki and Nicholas. I want to give a shout out to Ali Osman, Navid, Anita, Kitty, Beats Boss. Let's see, Michelle, thank you for joining. Ali Cat, thank you for joining. I am Biggie. Thank you for joining. Phil, the official Primad, IGL Coatings, Olivia. So many people drop by to say hello and to show some love. So I really do appreciate the support. Nicholas, you got me 100%. And I'm going to ask you this question before we conclude. Are you going to run again?
Of course, of course. It's electoral politics is very important, and as you could look around, there aren't many black people at that table. So we will certainly be, and I'll encourage as much people as possible from the black community to make yourselves available, whichever party whichever party of your choice,
Whatever party.
make yourself available to serve. And that's the only way we'll get electoral change. So we're fighting for change economically in the police system. We also want electoral change. We want to see more people like us in the legislature, provincially, at city council, provincially, at the federal level. And that's where we become part of the decision making. That's where we have an important vote to determine how our cities are run, how our provinces run, and how our country is governed. So that is vitally important. And so yes, I would certainly run again. I continue to do work in the community. I continue to stand up for what is right. Thank you, Veronica. I see you there.
You got my support, Nicholas. Thank you, Veronica. I'm going to give a wave to Mike. Thanks for joining.
So, what's going on, Mike? Big Mike? So, I'll continue to play my part and to be there for workers and to stand up, because in the federal public service, whatever we're successful on usually happens provincially, and then whatever fights that we win, that usually translate into benefits for the private sector and provincial workers. And so the labor movement will continue to mobilize and to stand up against anti-Black racism. And, I will be ready for when the election bells rings to make myself, available to serve, to continue, fighting.
I'm going to run too.
Oh, I didn't expect any different.
We'll be frontline together when that time comes. So I thank you, Nicholas. You're a wonderful role model. Keep doing what you're doing, and we know how to reach you. And drop by. Maybe we'll have another conversation again if you're available in the near future. So you've been watching the Nikki Clarke Show on Instagram Live with a very special guest, UTE North President Nicholas Thompson, and he's just a powerful man. Those of you who didn't get to see the whole interview, that's okay. It's going to be repeated on Instagram, and then I will also have it uploaded onto YouTube, so you can like, share, and comment. So again, thanks, Nicholas. Sorry for spelling your name incorrectly, Nicholas. Okay, you're forgiven, Veronica. All the best. Okay, stay safe, stay strong, and I'll see you soon, Nick.
Take care.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining. Have a good day.